Yo, what's up, beautiful people of the internet? We made it. We made it. After being late yesterday. So sorry again. Feel like I've apologized enough already with that video and everything. But yeah, for all the people who waited yesterday, sorry for that. We couldn't make it. Today's the day. We're gonna conduct another demonized live stream. So I gotta say that right. Damn, it was an intense training week last week, I gotta tell you. And I fear I must disclose that imperfection is upon us, my friends. Imperfection is upon us. I had to put the first red cross on the big bad comic battle plan yesterday. It is a tragedy. It is really the tragedy that you can expect from it. It's incredible. I scheduled 3 climbing sessions for this week, just like this is the same, by the way, as for this week. And we only did 2. Can you imagine? We only did 2. I couldn't get the 3rd climbing session done the past week. I don't know why. Just didn't fit in. What can I do? We did 2 climbing sessions, 2 hangboard sessions, and I think some archery again, some lawn, and some cardio as well. But yeah, for the 3rd climbing session, there was just not enough room. For this week, we again have roughly the same schedule, 3 climbing sessions, 2 hangboard sessions. So we will see if we can manage it this week. Nevertheless, the climbing sessions that we had were actually pretty good, especially one outdoor session that I had where I could send another 8A, which was great. It was an amazing outdoor day. And the hangboard session was one at least of the hangboard sessions. No, actually both hangboard sessions. Both hangboard sessions involved setting new personal bests. So that was amazing. Yeah, on the 15mm one armors on the Beastmaker, we could do new personal bests actually. And on the micros as well, because I was attacking the micros afterwards as well. And I wanted to, for the micros, my program is pretty simple. I just want to get up to 5 pull-ups on each micro, which is actually a lot because they are super painful on the fingertips already after like 2 pull-ups. So you really got to be active on those holds, man, I got to tell you. But anyway, I already could do 2 pull-ups back-to-back on the 6mm micro, and already briefly tried to hold the rounded 5mm micro, which is the worst hold that I possess on my hangboard here. I still had no chance. Yeah, it's funny because with the micros, it's more like toughening up the fingers than making them stronger in any way. It's like the Shaolin monk who is punching against the punching bag, and strengthening his fists and everything. With the fingers, it's kind of the same thing with the micros. The fingertips are kind of soft still from all the resting and stuff. And when I hold the micros, it just like hurts like crazy. Okay, so yeah, but with more outdoor climbing, with more outdoor meters, and with more micro hangboarding, this is bound to get better. I'm pretty positive with that. And I must say also, we had some pretty impressive guitar playing gains during this week. I was learning the finger picking arrangement for the girl from Ipanema. So that's pretty cool, I must say. It was really fun to learn that stuff. Maybe I can do a recording relatively soon for the music channel. Who knows? But yeah, that's what has been going on during this week. There was something else that I wanted to mention. Maybe I get it later. Yeah, of course. The usual reminder. Or first of all, how's the quality like? I hope the sound is okay, and I hope the video quality is okay as well. No interference is put up on screen here, at least by YouTube, so I suppose it's all right. And of course, if you're on the stream, despite it being one day late, 24 hours late, drop a like if you enjoyed the stream. That's always helpful. It's always appreciated. Helps the stream in the algorithms and stuff like that. You know the deal. That would be very cool. So I would say, after this brief little update of what's been going on the past week, let's start answering some questions. I can see that the chat is already pretty much filled up with stuff. Let's see what we have here, huh? Korki Pnoi, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Did you make the campus board yet? I have a small flat / apartment and would like to train power, but no room. Any suggestions? Without room, it's pretty hard. I mean, without height, yeah, you need some height for proper campus board. I mean, you gotta make some elevation there, starting from standing already and then going up like 2-3 moves. Well, therefore, you need kind of 2.5-3 meters or something. So, like in Vienna, for example, there's these old flats which are really high. In a flat like that, I can imagine building a campus board. Yeah, there is room for that. But in a modern flat, which is very low, low hanging, I don't know how high are the modern flats in height, maybe 2.2 or 2.3 meters or something. It's gonna be pretty hard there. In that kind of setting, I would rather go for a hangboard. I haven't personally I still haven't built a campus board yet. Yeah? I don't see so much use of it. Again, if I would have no other place to train or stuff like that, I would probably go for it. And in the times we live in, when climbing gyms get closed again and stuff like that, maybe it's gonna be necessary. But for now, it's not. So yeah, I work with what I got. I got my hangboard at home. For now, that's enough for me. I do my power training outdoors by doing bouldery routes and stuff like that. And of course, on the 45er. Istvan Ivanchko, how is that pronounced? That would be interesting. Is on the stream again. Yeah, welcome again. Hi, Manny. I pronounce my name such as. Is that funny? I'm talking how this name is pronounced, and the next thing that you are writing actually in the comment, I could have read that sentence before I started about how to pronounce your name. I pronounce my name such as Ivancho. Okay, Ivancho. Thanks for saying that. Now I can pronounce your name correctly. I will go for a super short climbing trip to Sicily, only for 8 days in less than 2 weeks. Any tips? Thanks. I climbed during all summer outdoors. Wow, congrats. In the Basler Jura, so I'm quite well used to the rock, but unfortunately the autumn is there. So in the last 2 weeks, I had to go to the climbing gym, which felt really crazy after a couple of months. Unfortunately, the autumn is there. So in the last 2 weeks, but why do you have to go to the climbing gym when the autumn is there? I mean, autumn is pretty much peak season, right? Anyway, you have only this much time, I think 8 days. So in 2 weeks, in less than 2 weeks actually, so I would start. Well, if you're already used to rock, it's questionable. What did you do on this rock? Yeah, if you're already used to power endurance, it doesn't make a lot of sense to train power endurance balls to the walls than in the gym. I would rather go for something like max power, like 45 or stuff like that. However, if you have the feeling that you could still make gains in the power endurance department, this is what you will need the most on rock climbing. What is in terms of what is trainable in the indoors, for rope climbing at least, that is. So then I would simply go for some 4x4s or something, create some awesome boulders on your system wall, 15 moves, and repeat those boulders with a hard pump, get into the anaerobic oxygen zone, the no oxygen zone essentially, where you create a lot of lactate and where you get the hard pump in your forearms. This is how you can prepare for outdoor route climbing quite well. The reason why I usually don't do it is because I have longer climbing trips, and on longer climbing trips, you adapt to this kind of stimulus anyways on rock over the course of 1-2 weeks and stuff. So that's that. But of course, if you have a shorter trip time, then you can prepare for that beforehand and then max out on conditioning during the trip already, right? Music Scala is on the stream again. Welcome back to the stream, my friend. Here we go again. Yeah, this time for real. Sorry that we didn't make it yesterday. I was so over motivated, man. I was already knowing when I said it, when I announced the stream, that it could get tense around that time, which is in the end already it also did. But yeah, I was a bit over motivated, so now we are ruling this stuff on Monday evening. Davide Ross says, "Hey Manny, when is the last time you fell on a 6th grade, even on a 6C plus or on a 7A?" Who? With the 6th grade, honestly, I really don't know. I must think hard to even remember the last 6th grade route that I climbed in general, that I touched actually. I think back in Greece, I touched a couple of them, of the 6th grades, because I was installing top ropes for Mona and stuff, and did them for the warm-up. And I think I didn't fall on any of these. Yeah. With falling on a 7A, it's kind of the same. It's I did a couple of 7As during the Greece trip, but I must say I think I didn't fall on any of that. Do you remember, Mona? Did I fall on a 7A during the trip?
Maybe.
Maybe.
There was one we didn't make both of us. Was it a 6B even? There was one we didn't.
Was it the route where I said it's extremely misgraded in the what was the name of the sector again? Close to the sea.
Sabaton.
Yeah, the Sabaton sector. No, but I eventually sent this as well. I eventually sent this one as well.
Irgendwo sind wir beide gesessen, die war so, da bist halt fast bisschen vergangen.
I don't know. I don't remember anymore. Yeah, maybe there is the one or the other 7A or something where I went into the wrong direction or something like that, and then I had to kind of go back again, or I don't know anymore. Yeah, could be that I fell on something in 7A like there in Greece, but honestly, I don't remember. But it's kind of unfair because I rarely touch these grades anymore. Usually I have some sort of project and I go on the project instantly to warm up, or I already have done all the grades in that all the routes in that grade area of the area already. So yeah, it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare. Music Scholar says, damn, these questions came in early. Yeah, Jordan Heller is on the stream again. What's up, man? Hey, Manny. Quality seems to be good. I couldn't join the stream yesterday, so I was happy to see the stream was on today. Yeah, man. I didn't make it. Only 1.5 hours late, and I thought, well, instead of starting the stream now, me being super tired, people might be gone already, I would rather postpone it to Monday. And this is what happened. Yeah, same time, same place, but different day. So now we roll with it. Tom Yan says, hey Manny, what's your favorite climbing book? 9 out of 10 climbers do the same mistake, by Dave McLeod, actually, the guy who also has a YouTube channel now, and makes some pretty cool videos, actually. So I think he promotes his book anyway in the description of his video. So if you want to have a link to it or something, then you can hop over and check it out. It's the only climbing book that I read ever. Yeah, of all the climbing books that are out there, it's the only one that I actually read. This is the only one that I found really interesting and worth reading, really. It does not really talk about, there's no pictures in it describing technique or stuff like that. It just really more talks about the mindset of a strong climber, what to expect in terms of training, what to expect in terms of genetics, that climbing is a very genetic-heavy sport, which is absolutely correct. A lot of people have the expectations that they will start with the sport, they make quick gains, but then they will become pro climbers and stuff like that, which is often not at all the case. Also talks about the fact that a lot of really strong guys out there are never even heard of, and there's a lot of underdogs and all that kind of stuff. So it's really worth reading because it gives a very good perspective, I think, on the sport. Yeah, apart from all the technical stuff. Yeah, there is not really a lot of what you can learn from in terms of technique and stuff like that. There is some training content, I think, but there's no pictures or anything, as far as I remember, at least. So here we have Hamza Shoaib. That's an interesting name. Hey Manny, I've been hangboarding for the past 4 weeks and added 2.5 kilograms per week to my max hangs. That's pretty solid. Should I keep adding weight until I plateau, or should I include maintenance deload weeks? Honestly, I would go with if you've got a running system and you can progress in it, you can increase your numbers, then just roll with it. Okay, roll with it until you plateau, or until you feel, damn, my fingers feel a bit sore, maybe I kick myself into an injury. Okay, if sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can anticipate this stuff. And if you feel that that's going to happen, then reduce the loading and maybe go off of it completely for a week or stuff. Keep climbing, keep the tissue active and stuff like that, but go away from this really harsh training. Yeah. Until something of that sort happens, either, an injury is kind of coming, or you're plateauing hard. And what I mean with plateauing is, there's always the possibility that you get the one or the other session where you don't break your records. Okay, this is pretty normal. But let's make a limit here. If you did 3 sessions of the same thing, so essentially that's 1 training week, right? If you did 3 sessions of the same thing that you did before, you were always gaining, but during these 3 sessions you haven't set a new personal best, then you've plateaued. Okay, then you've plateaued. You have to change up your training. What I would advise you to do, if you're training max hangs at the moment, what you could change to is something of the sort like repeaters or stuff, because this is hypertrophy. This is going to cause a muscle growing stimulus in your forearms, and this is actually going to increase the amount of substrate that you have afterwards again to strengthen up again. Yeah. So ideally, you want to do it always like that. You will alternate hypertrophy and max power training, so that you gain some muscle and then strengthen it up, gain some muscle, strengthen it up, until you injure your tendons, your joints and stuff like that. Then you have to reduce it anyway. And then don't forget the outdoor climbing as well, to actually learn how to apply this crazy amount of strength. Yeah, but essentially, this is how I would do it. I would not really pay a lot of attention to maintenance or deload weeks or stuff like that. I would just simply keep adding resistance until you plateau, or until you've got a physical problem like an injury that's upcoming or stuff like that. Yeah. Music Scala is there. Audio and video quality is perfect. Thanks, man. Thanks for the feedback. That's good to know. We roll with it. Hunter Shoaib comes again with another question. Oh, another question. I remember you mentioning flamenco guitar in an earlier stream. How does that work with short nails necessary for climbing? Yeah, that's actually a good question. On some pieces, I really would like to have longer nails. I tell you this. Of course, it's not possible. In fact, I have pretty short nails, which makes sense for holding small holds, like training on the hangboard, training on the micros and stuff like that. Like having short fingernails really can give you a performance edge on those micros, I tell you this. So yeah, for certain pieces on the guitar, it's not as practical. Yeah, on the left hand, it doesn't matter, but on the right hand, yeah, kind of suboptimal. But I think that my playing performance is not so bad despite that. I got kind of used to it. Yeah. But yeah, it's a good point. I would love to have longer fingernails on some of the pieces, but I don't. I sacrifice the guitar gains there for the climbing gains. You can't have everything in life. That's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate truth. Ishan HM says, how do you think the need for power compares to the need for finger strength? I think what you mean by power is the dynamic component, like the explosiveness, right? I would evaluate finger strength higher when it comes to outdoor climbing, and power definitely higher when it comes to competition bouldering, something like that. Because here you really have to shine in the big dynamic moves and stuff, and the modern setting style, which doesn't really have a lot of things to do with finger strength, but rather with power. Yeah, on outdoor climbing, it's a lot of finger strength, really. And the more finger strength you have, actually, the less power you need. Yeah, because then you can simply lock stuff off. You just have to look at Alex Mego's climbing. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot more dynamic as well over the last couple of videos that I've seen from him. But he was a locking off machine, man, and he still is, because he just has so much finger strength that he doesn't really need to go for holds dynamically still yet. So this is how it works. If you have a lot of finger strength, then you can still spare on the power part. So I would rate finger strength definitely higher when it comes to outdoor route climbing in any way, shape, or form, and probably also outdoor bouldering for the most part. Although on bouldering, some significant amount of power wouldn't hurt as well. But yeah, that's how I would go, and that's how I would rate it. Frankenstein is there again. Hey Manny, what's up? What's up, Frankenstein? When do you have your next outdoor bouldering session? Well, that's a pretty good question. I recently heard stories. I heard myths of a little bouldering block that is quite close to where the family of my girlfriend actually lives, where we make visits from time to time as well. So I think I'm gonna check this spot out, and I'm gonna see if it's cool. If it's cool, I'm gonna get my crash pads, which are at the moment stored somewhere else. I still have to get them, and then I will carry them over, and then I will do some outdoor bouldering sessions again. I was kind of shying away from it still at the beginning, because I wanted to, first build up the skin again and build up the tendons and everything a little bit, reactivate everything again in my hands and stuff, instead of going full balls to the walls on the bouldering walls right away, because I had the feeling, well, then I probably ruined my skin and I ruined my fingers right away. Cost me a bit of motivation. Also, if you're coming from a break, you feel just super weak on an outdoor bouldering spot, right? So yeah, I think that more and more as time goes by, I'm ready for it, and I think I will check out a new bouldering spot quite soon, actually. That's gonna be interesting. Let's have a look at the live stream receptacle that we're rocking today, shall we? Today we're going with the Punti again, in which we have only the finest mineral water of Austria. This is actually Vöslauer mineral water, which I think is I think it tastes the best from all the mineral waters that I've tried so far. What can I say? It just tastes amazing. And in the Punti, obviously, it's just a joy to drink from it. That's good. Chili Chat is on the stream again. What's up, man? What are your favorite types of questions to be asked? Well, the stream is called Ask Me Anything. I answer all the questions with joy, I must say. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun improvising like that, I mean, you just simply tell what's on your mind, and you don't really think too much about it. When I make videos for the main channel, I sometimes have to think about how am I gonna say that, how am I gonna script that, how can I get the video as short as possible but still get my message across, and all that kind of stuff. Here there's a much more free playground, but of course, to be honest, I also like to answer the non-climbing related questions a lot, because I've spent a lot of time with creating climbing content already, as you can imagine. I've just recently rechecked, and I was recently crossing my 500th video on the main channel, actually. So video number 500 was done. That's a lot of videos. That's a freakishly hell lot of videos, especially considering that I put a little bit of effort into every single one of these videos, in terms of editing, in terms of scripting, whatever there may be. I mean, sometimes we have videos where I just sit down in front of the camera and talk my head out, so to say. But then there is also videos where I do route analysis and stuff like that. Speaking about which, by the way, I just released another Patreon exclusive sport climbing analysis of the beautiful classic that we sent, Zeitgeist 8A, first 8A in Austria, 1984, first ascended by Thomas Robert. If you're interested in the technical analysis, there's a beautiful video out there for the Patreon exclusive, which you can watch for only $1 a month. Isn't that great? If you want so. But anyway, just to have that mentioned. That was another video that's actually a lot of effort to make, and as you know, one reason why I made them for Patreons exclusively is that they are a lot of effort to make, and they by default have to be a little bit longer, because if you break down a route ascent, which already the ascent takes like 8-9 minutes, well, then you want to tell a bit of stuff about technique and strategy and stuff like that. So these videos easily get 13, 14, 15 minutes long. People don't really watch them on the main channel, and it's a lot of effort that goes to waste there, actually. So I wanted to make them for the people who really enjoy them and who really watch them, give the Patreons a little bit of a treat, because they are really the guys who are supporting this work. And so there's another video out there. I really like to answer also the non-climbing related questions, I must say. Yeah, because there is so much more to talk about actually in life than climbing. Climbing is awesome, don't get me wrong, but yeah, there is a lot more as well. Arlasse2 says, "At Manny, what's up, man? How did you meet your girlfriend?" How did I meet my girlfriend?
In the climbing gym.
Yeah, in the climbing gym. Where else could it have happened? In the climbing gym, of course. Yeah, so my girlfriend is actually an occupational therapist. Is that correct? Occupational therapist, yes. And she was working with some kids actually in the climbing gym, the same climbing gym that I worked for a bit of time in Fürstenfeld, and that's where we got to know each other, and we climbed a little bit together, and all the good stuff, and that's how we met essentially. Yeah, and it's great times. It's really great times. I'm really happy that it turned out that way, I must say. Yeah. So enough with the sweet stuff. Omic Contact says, "I love your stream, Manny. Thanks, that's appreciated. Great for working out. Awesome. All about physical performance mixed with science and practical philosophy." Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm not sure. Hopefully the philosophy is somewhat practical. I feel like sometimes I ramble just about crazy stuff when we get off track here and stuff like that, but that's why we do this, right? That's why we do it live. We can't have it scripted that way. This is how the interesting stuff comes to the surface. I love it, man. It's amazing. And I feel very glad to read from people that love it as well and hear it for working out and stuff like that. That's cool. What are your top exercises for the planche? Damn, the freaking planche, man. The freaking planche. I wonder if I can ever get it done in my life. But yeah, anyway. So planche, I want to say right away, I'm still not fit enough to do a planche myself. Yeah, so who am I to give advice here? But where I've made the most gains is the straddle planche. I have the feeling. You use a pillow, you put it down in front of you, and then you get into a planche position, you straddle your legs up and try to simply hold it as long as possible. And of course, soon enough, you're going to sink down to the floor and your face is going to sink into that pillow. What's also quite effective is the lean planche, I think. A lot of people have made very good experiences with the lean planche. That is, you simply get into planche position, but you keep your feet on the ground and then you lean forward slowly, more and more, putting more and more weight on your hands until you might eventually be able to lift your feet off. I cannot do it that way, especially if I'm not straddled. Then I will sink to the ground as well immediately. But I feel like I'm a little bit heavy at the moment, like in the range of 68 to 69 kilograms. So it's kind of hard for me, these stuffs. I was actually able to hold. I mean, it was not perfect form. It was not perfectly horizontal, but I was able to hold a somewhat straddled planche for like 2 seconds or something when I was in top planche shape so far, which I haven't been able to repeat yet. Yeah, so we're still getting back into this kind of fitness, but the planche is hard for me, man. And I think this is also kind of a genetics thing. If you have heavy legs, something like the planche or the front lever, these kind of straightening horizontalitarianism, as I call it, exercises, they they are really tough on you, yeah, because those heavy legs are gonna drag you down essentially, and they pull your center of gravity down. So here, yeah, it's not that easy. With chicken legs, it will obviously be a lot better. Istvan Ivancho says, it was funny with the pronunciation. You said it perfectly. One more question. How many rest days before this short trip to be in best shape, plus enough skin? I've been climbing for only 3.5 years now. I would not do more than one rest day or something. Again, I have made the experience that rest days, the number of rest days that you have before a certain session, does not at all impact your performance during this session. Yeah? I've had amazing performance during sessions when I had 5 climbing days in a row already. On my 6th climbing day, I could send a crazy project or something. Just like the other way around, on a 6th climbing day, I was just super tired. And then you say, well, it's my 6th climbing day, obviously I'm super tired. No, it could as well be that you're super strong on your 6th climbing day. This depends on other factors than rest days that you had beforehand. Like, what have you eaten on the day before? How much did you drink? How much salt did you throw in? Maybe you're 1-2 kilos heavier because you had a salty meal and you're all watered up. You carry a lot of water weight with you, or you just had a super fatty meal the day beforehand, and the fat kind of slows you down a little bit on the performance the next day. All these things influence, in my opinion, the climbing performance on the next day much more significantly than the number of rest days that you had beforehand. Yeah. So don't think about the rest days too much, in my opinion. Throw in one rest day, just for getting there. You might have a little trip in front of you anyway. So you can use this to kind of rest your tissues, kind of relax a little bit, and then attack it full force again. Yeah. But there's no need, I think, to do a kind of a 3-day rest period or something like that. Music Scholar says, did you ever have problems with your radiobrachialis? I think you mean the brachioradialis. For a very long time, I misdiagnosed a hurting brachioradialis muscle and thought I had a tennis elbow. I think it's this guy here, yeah, the brachioradialis, and yeah, I mean, apart from it being a little bit sore sometimes, I feel that sometimes it's actually getting quite sore from the assisted one-armers on the small 15mm Beastmaker 2000 edge. Yeah, there I get a little bit sore in the brachioradialis, but I reckon this is actually a good thing. I want to train it. I want to train this muscle. I think it's not a coincidence that in super strong climbers, this muscle is very significant. It's very pronounced and it's very visible. If it hurts, then I have the feeling that I worked out something that is actually useful for climbing. Yeah, so I'm quite happy about that. But in terms of having, continuous kind of chronic soreness of it, I didn't really have that experience so far, thankfully. Ole says, what's up, Ole? Hi, Manny. In deinen Trainingsvideos machst du One-Arm-Pulls in Front Levers. Ist das sinnvoll, da doch die Fingerkraft das Wichtigste ist? Kann man die Übungen auch nur beim Klettern ersetzen? That's a good question. Essentially, it means in your trainings videos, you make one-arm pull-ups and front levers. Is that useful? Because actually, isn't finger strength the most important when it comes to climbing? Can you actually carry over some of that strength from these exercises into climbing performance? And I would argue you're totally correct. A one-arm pull-up on a jog is not really necessary for climbing performance. Doesn't really have anything to do with climbing performance. This is why in modern days, if I train one-armers, I only train them on some sort of bad holds, yeah, on some sort of edges on the hangboard, on some sort of slopes maybe or stuff like that, but never on a jog like I did back in the day on a bar, yeah. on climbing, you will never do a one armor on a jug. This will almost never occur. What's rather going to occur is you're going to have to lock off bad holds. Yeah, and this is something that comes only with finger strength. Finger strength in this aspect is a lot more useful than one arm lock off power, I have the feeling. So what I want to say is, if you have to lock off a bad hold, what's much more often the limiting factor is the finger strength, not the lock off power. Yeah. So if you can make that bad hold better by having more finger strength, this is going to help you more compared to having more lock off power, because all the lock off power doesn't help you if you can't hold the hold, right? It's kind of a chain. It's like a chain with multiple pieces there, and if the first chain that is actually the first chain piece that's actually in contact with the rock is weak, then all the other strength in the other chain doesn't really help you, because you can't really apply it to the rock. Does that make sense? So in modern days, I only train one armors on bad edges, because I think that one armors on bars do not really help climbing performance. Will it hurt climbing performance? I don't know. If it puts too much muscle on your body, for example, and it makes you unnecessarily heavy, maybe. Yeah. The front lever is a bit of a different story. I think the front lever has pretty good yields, pretty good core strength, which sometimes can be useful in climbing when you have to get your feet back onto the wall, stuff like this. Just simply keeping your feet on the wall in a very overhanging setting. I think core strength that could be gained via front lever training could be somewhat helpful. Although I would say that the by far most effective core exercise that I did, that I could really feel its effect carrying over into climbing performance, was the Swiss handstand, actually. So being able to go into the handstand slowly, with putting your legs up slowly without momentum, this kind of activates certain back muscles. I haven't really identified them to this day, but it's kind of in your upper spine, these muscles there, and also the shoulders, by the way, which is amazing, I think, for corrective exercise, but that's another story. But you get this kind of strange body strength in your back muscles, which is somehow already there, but because we never use it in all-day life, these muscles kind of deteriorate and aren't really active anymore. But with these exercises, you reactivate them again. At least that's how it felt for me. And what's happening then is that you can feel amazing body strength gains on walls like the 45er system wall, very overhanging stuff, and also on very overhanging outdoor bouldering. That's where I felt it the most, actually. So yeah, these things carry over. How much I think one-arm pull-ups do not really carry over, and the perfect proof for that is actually Adam Onra, who could, I think, do a one-arm pull-up only in his 20s or something, when he climbed his first 9A already at 13 years old. Yeah, so there you have it. It's technique, finger strength, and precision and speed and stuff like that. All these things that this guy has actually mastered, which have a much greater impact on climbing performance, apparently. Yeah. Lycanthrope is on the stream again. What's up, man? How are you doing? Hey. First things first, awesome analysis video today. Thanks, man. Happy you checked it out. I hope for more of that, man. You know what? I also hope for some new content in Manny's Music Corner. How about that, man? Yeah, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. As I said, I was actually practicing the girl from Ipanema during the past week, and I've gotten pretty good in it, I must say. It's kind of a finger-style arrangement by Sky Guitar. Amazing YouTube channel, by the way, if you're into these kind of things, classical guitar, a little bit of flamenco guitar and stuff. They've got great tutorials, man. It's really amazing what they do. And yeah, I've been training the girl from Ipanema. Maybe we can get a good recording for the music channel in the near future. But yeah, I'm really glad that you checked out the analysis video of the Zeitgeist. I put some effort into it. I think it went really well. It turned out really good. Hamza Shoaib asks again, could hard circuits be used as substitutes for repeaters? Yeah, definitely. I would call it the other way around. The question is, could repeaters be used as a substitute for hard circuits? And there I would go with somewhat. Yeah, I think that hard circuits are the gold standard, and repeaters somewhat can mimic this kind of training on a hangboard, which is something that you might have to do if you haven't access to a system wall or a climbing gym for whatever reason. Yeah. Or perhaps the load is not enough for significant hypertrophy. No. If you do the hard circuits correctly, you will get a hypertrophy effect. Yeah, definitely. I don't enjoy repeaters, so we'll take any excuse to avoid them. Yeah, repeaters can be pretty tough actually if you do them correctly. As I said, I think the hard circuits are actually the gold standard if you know what you're doing. If you really want pure hypertrophy, I think you should go with boulders that are, what was it? I think around 10 moves or something. 10 moves, and then kind of repeat these boulders over and over again with certain resting times, keeping a hard pump in your forearm, and then make one bigger break in the middle of the session, do the same thing again, and then you're done essentially. Yeah. So that's how I remember it, and I think this is pretty effective for hypertrophy. And then you build one sloper boulder, one edge boulder, one pocket boulder, one Gaston boulder, one drop knee boulder, or whatever it is. You kind of try to isolate different aspects of climbing performance and thereby get hopefully a whole spectrum of training into your circuits, and this should yield some nice hypertrophy effect. Yeah. Theoretically, at least that's the training theory, right? And repeaters, since they kind of mimic this stimulus, they should lead to some significant hypertrophy as well. Average Climber says, welcome to the stream. Would you, and if so, under which circumstances would you sacrifice an outdoor climbing day for a gym/hangboard session? Well, let's say I have to drive for like 3 hours to get to the outdoor climbing spot. Well, then I will think about it, yeah, for example. But if both is equally accessible, I would never sacrifice an outdoor climbing session for a hangboard session. If I have the time for both, I would never sacrifice an outdoor session for a hangboard session. The hangboard is really just a tool which allows you to get some stimulus in if for some reason you just really cannot get the outdoor session in, which can be work, it can be an outdoor crag which is just too far away, there's just too much time involved to get there. Maybe you have some family stress, you have to be at home that day, yeah. But you can spare an hour or two or 1.5 hours, well then hang on the hangboard. Yeah, this is what the hangboard is for. If you can get outdoor sessions and you actually want to get better at outdoor climbing, nothing comes close to outdoor climbing itself. Yeah. Another question. Since finger strength gains come slowly for a trained climber, how can you realize if you should change your training plan? We talked about this briefly before. Someone asked about when he should change his approach to hangboarding. He could always add 2.5 kilos per week to his max hangs, and I told him as long as he's able to do that, he does not need to have a running system changed. Okay, obviously if he continues like that, I mean, like, let's say he continues like that for 50 weeks, 50 times 2.5, that's 120 or 25, I'm not sure, kilograms. Okay, so by that point he's going to be a pro climber. So the progression that he's experiencing at this given moment, if he can carry that on, it's going to be amazing. He just simply needs to carry that on. And if he does, what's going to happen is sooner or later that he will plateau, actually. And then it's the time to change, yeah? we're usually not so fortunate to carry a progression like this on for ages and end up as a pro climber after a year. Yeah, that's not reality. Usually we plateau, and when we plateau, how can you determine that? Well, I would say, as an orientation, as a rule of thumb, if you did 3 sessions of the same approach that you did beforehand, but you never broke your personal best during neither of these 3 sessions, well, then it's time to change your approach. Yeah. And what I would do is I would change to something more like a repeater fashion to get the hypertrophy stimulus back in, to increase the muscle volume simply, without increasing the strength necessarily, to be then able to increase the strength afterwards again. And if you continue this for a long enough time, the next thing that's going to let you plateau is actually injury, very likely, okay? Because most of us didn't start when we were 5 years old, unfortunately. We don't have freakishly strong tendons and pulleys and joints. But with this program, you're gonna get stronger, so you're gonna eventually overuse those structures, and then you're gonna get injured, you're gonna get inflamed, and then you're gonna have to reduce the intensity by that means, yeah, due to these means. And then you might want to take it a little easier on the hangboarding for 1-2 weeks. Let that stuff heal. Just simply keep climbing below pain threshold as usual. Keep the tissue active, keep the blood flow going, keep it warm, and then go back into it. And this is how you work yourself up the ladder slowly but steadily. Yeah, slowly but steadily. Ohmic contact. I'm 282 pounds. That's not little. Am I correct? 282 pounds in kilograms. Let me see. 127 kilograms, 128 kilograms, that is. Okay. And quite active hiking and eating healthy, losing 30 pounds in 3 months or so. Congrats, man. Nice. I want to try climbing for the first time. I'm 5'9". What weight is good to join the climbing gym? Well, obviously, any weight that you still can lose if you have the feeling that you have some weight to lose. And I think with 5.9, let me just see, 5 feet and 9 things in centimeters. That's 5 feet 9 inches, am I correct? That's 174 centimeters. Well, for me, that would mean that you still have quite a bit of weight to lose. It's never too early to join the climbing gym, okay? To get that straight out of the way. You can lose weight in the climbing gym perfectly well. Yeah, just work with bigger holds. Don't necessarily crank down super small stuff, because your tendons and fingers might be a little bit sensitive if you're hanging on that stuff with a significant amount of weight. Yeah. So to give me as an example, I think I am 173 centimeters tall, so a little bit shorter than you, but I weigh like 68 kilograms. And when I'm super fit, I'm actually weighing 63, something like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much half of your weight. So yeah, there's definitely, I would say, potential to lose some weight. However, you can lose weight in the climbing gym. And how I would approach this is by doing aerobic circuits. Yeah, climbing on a traverse wall, traversing all the time, using good holds, keeping the breathing up, okay, and climbing always in the aerobic zone. Do not increase the intensity so much that you get into the anaerobic zone. Just simply climb as if you could climb forever that way. And this way, it's like running, okay? It's almost like running or jogging or biking or swimming, climbing that way. You can actually burn a lot of fat that way. Just simply getting the oxygen into your body and doing the mileage, yeah, doing the volume. And at the same time, it's a whole body workout. Yeah? So that's amazing. This is what makes it so much more fun and so much more better, I think, in my opinion, than, for example, something like running, where if you would start running now with your body weight, there is actually quite a lot of chance that you injure your ankles or injure your knees because it's just too much of an impact. Yeah. The same can be true with climbing on your fingers if you use very bad holds, but that's absolutely not necessary. Just simply get a good traverse with some good holds, get into the climbing gym and do these 20 minutes, 30 minute circuits, just staying on the wall for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Keep breathing, sweat your bag off, yeah. And this way you're gonna burn a lot of calories, and it's gonna accelerate your weight loss probably, yeah. That's how I would approach it. What weight is good to join the climbing gym? As I said, with 5 foot 9 inches, you could probably be somewhere around 75, 80 kilograms. Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, I'm a little bit shorter than you, and I'm 68 kilograms at the moment, which for me, I consider that actually heavy. Yeah, it's definitely not my performance weight. So yeah, that's when you should feel that your performance really picks up. Now in this kind of stage, it's really the weight that's gonna hinder you simply to climb harder. But it's not necessary now to climb harder. First of all, get rid of the weight. Again, do the approach. And at some point, you're going to feel, oh, damn, I'm getting a lot lighter. Those holds feel easier and easier to hold. And naturally, you will want to progress then towards worse holds and towards harder problems. Yeah. That's how I would approach it. Jordan Heller, hey, Manny. I was wondering when and what grades you were climbing when you started climbing specific training, and when did you start using the campus board? Wow. These are tough questions, man, because I need to think about a time which is a long time in the past. I started climbing about over 11 years ago, I think, and I had my first outdoor climbing experience after, I think, 3 years roughly of just indoor climbing in a very old school bouldering gym. So what grades were you climbing when you started climbing specific training? Well, I started climbing specific training from the get-go, essentially. That's what I did without the climbing, without actually using the fitness that I was gaining. But when we're talking about things like hangboarding and campus boarding, I think I started hangboarding and campus boarding after I had my first outdoor experiences. So I would guess I was climbing already 7B or something like that. Yeah, much too weak actually to make proper hangboarding and proper campus boarding necessary. But also, to be honest, when I had my first outdoor experience, without that I even knew it, I had actually already the power for something that could be more towards like 7C or 8A. Yeah. Because I did only bouldering for 3 years in an old school bouldering gym on a 45er with crappy as hell holds. So I had the finger strength actually, but I didn't have the experience, and experience actually matters a lot when it comes to outdoor rope climbing. Once I got the experience, after around half a year to a year of outdoor rope climbing, I actually was able to send my first 8A. So I had a pretty steep progression curve after all this indoor training on the outdoors then. So I can't really say that... I can't really give you a grade when I started climbing specific training. I think it was kind of simultaneous with getting onto the outdoors and getting this load of motivation, because I finally realized, that's why the people train all the time indoors, to be actually good on the outdoors. There is a use for this kind of strength, which, believe it or not, I didn't know up until this point. Yeah. I was seeing the pictures hanging in the climbing gym of the people climbing hard stuff outdoors, and I was thinking, yeah, that looks good. Maybe they do this over in the Americas. I haven't really seen any of this kind of rock in Austria so far. Where could you maybe do it? Maybe in Tyrol, where there's mountains, but for sure not here in Vienna. Well, lo and behold, in the south of Vienna, there's amazing limestone crags. I didn't know that. I just simply didn't know it. Once I knew it, I got psyched as hell, because this this kind of triggered my collector instinct. Yeah? And as I said before, usually the super motivated outdoor climbers, they have a collector's instinct. They just simply want to tick routes. Yeah? They want to tick stuff in a guidebook. They want to get it done. And this is what drove me then with the climbing specific training indoors as well. And I'm pretty sure that I built my first hangboard, my first ever hangboard, which is actually the same that is still standing there on the two poles. Only that back in the day it was mounted above a door frame and not on the two poles. I built it when I was training for my first one armor back in the day. I remember that I wanted to get a one armor done finally, and this is when I decided, okay, I need a hangboard at home because I was studying still and I couldn't get enough training in. Just in a climbing gym. So I got a hangboard, I got some hangboard materials and the pulley system and built this freaking hangboard back in the good old days. I think it was in Floridsdorf actually, Flodo, a good old Flodo. I was living in a what's it called? In a WG, Wohngemeinschaft, living in a flat with a couple of friends of mine, yeah, not alone. And there I actually mounted this hangboard above a door frame, and every one of these friends was looking at me like crazy. What the freak are you doing with this kind of stuff? Small little edges on there. Then I've got the rungs for theoretical campus boarding, which I never really used in the end. I only used the lower floor with the holes on there eventually. But I got a pull-up bar mounted on this hangboard as well. Really simple construction with a couple of hooks, and I could actually hang it into some loops. And that's where I was training for my first one armor, right? Just with a pulley system, and it worked, by the way. So if you want to get your one armor done, get a freaking pulley system and get a bar. Although, as I said already, I don't think that one armors on a jug on a bar like this really do carry over into climbing performance, but of course it was cool to show off in front of my friends and everything. So yeah, that was the good old days in Floridsdorf, man. But yeah, I was climbing maybe something in the range of 7B to 8A or something when I started climbing specific training in the form of hangboarding and campus boarding. Up until that point, I really did only indoor bouldering and outdoor route climbing on the rope. Yeah, unfortunately, I also started quite late with outdoor bouldering. I should have started earlier with that stuff because it's actually amazing for finger strength and everything. As I have mentioned previously. In Cypher, that's a cool name. What's up, In Cypher? Hey, Manny. I'm enjoying your talk. Ooh, the chat is jumping down, sorry. I'm enjoying your talk with a good white wine. Cheers, my friend. I gotta take a sip on that from the big live stream receptacle. Any tips for better footwork at sparks on the system wall? I tend to cut loose quite often. Good question. I just made a video about that kind of stuff. By the way, the 3 modes of stepping and why I think that wooden screw-ons and small sparks and stuff like that are just amazing on a 45-degree overhanging system wall. The little one is in the room. Yeah. So obviously you need some body strength, yeah, for this kind of stuff, and you need foot precision. Yeah. Sometimes people just are not that accurate still with stepping small screw-ons like that. Yeah. Depends on really how long you already climb. Yeah, this could be a beginner's issue. A lot of beginners really aren't that precise. They step into the wrong places of the foothold and then they slip off consequently. Yeah. But what I have found most of the time, it is rather a lack. Once that is overcome, the precision issue, once that is overcome, it is rather a lack of body strength that lets people slip off small footholds. On the outdoors as well. Yeah. And this kind of special body strength that you need for overhanging stuff, well, it comes obviously with doing a lot of overhanging stuff, simply climbing a lot of stuff on the system wall, climbing a lot of overhanging stuff on the outdoors. but also by doing some certain core exercises, which I already talked about during the stream as well. As I said, the Swiss handstand, slowly going into the handstand. This really had a notable effect on my body strength back in the day, and I could feel it on overhanging outdoor boulders actually. Yeah. I even made a whole separate video about the subject, I think, which was called how did calisthenics improve my body strength, or how did calisthenics impact my climbing performance, or something like that. Yeah, you can check that out if you're interested. But anyway, Swiss handstand, really recommendable when it comes to this stuff. Yeah. Sugary Ketchup, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. I just sent my first 7B outdoors. Congrats, dude. The previous hardest thing I've done was 6C+. Well, that's a big of a jump. Congrats even more. I want to get 8A by springtime next year. That's another big jump. You gotta be diligent, but if you can keep this kind of progression up, you can do it. Do you think this is a good goal? How do I keep my ego under control? There is no need to get your ego under control, okay? If the wall rewards you with success events like that, then there is no need to slow down. You will get put into place by the great ladder anyway. So test it out, okay? Be bold, don't have any great respect, just simply go for it. Try those freaking hard routes. Maybe you know somebody, maybe you have a friend who's already projecting one of these lines. Let them give you beta, let them guide you through it, and try this stuff. Yeah, maybe you're a freakishly genetic talent or something like that. You can never know, yeah, unless you test it out. So be bold and try those hard routes. Obviously, you get rewarded by doing this approach already, yeah, doing your first 7B after you only did 6C+. So congrats on that. There is no need to slow down. Simply test it out, yeah. The climbing gods will put you into place anyway, and then you will have to work with where you put into place anyway. Yeah. No need to keep your ego under control. I mean, stay humble, of course. Stay kind to don't make fun of your friends because you're progressing faster than them or something like that. Yeah, that's not necessary. But I guess you know what I mean here. You don't have to keep your ego under control for the rock. Yeah, the rock is not really you cannot offend the rock. That's the beautiful thing about it. You cannot offend it. Yeah, you can just climb it. And it's still there, and it's gonna be still there once you have sent your route for someone else to send it. That's the beauty of it. Istvan Ivancho says, do you know the Bioptron? I'm pretty happy that I now can pronounce this name just perfectly correctly. Thank you for teaching me how to do it, Ivancho. Do you know the Bioptron lamp? No. It emits pulsating infrared light, which is somehow anti-inflammatory. I'm always kind of weary or iffy or kind of skeptic when it comes to claims like that, but we can check it out. I made really good experiences with it. Okay, so we've got some anecdotal evidence here that it works. For example, for Brachioradialis inflammation, which we already talked about during the stream. Of course, the manufacturer claims it's good for everything. I can imagine that. From wound healing over headaches to menstruation pain, literally anything where inflammation is involved. Yeah, and inflammation is pretty much involved into any sickness that's out there. So there's some pretty good use for this lamp, as it seems. Let me just make a quick Google search of that stuff, Bioptron Lampe. Okay, that's what it looks like. Looks interesting. Kind of looks like, what? Holy crap! This stuff costs 1,000 euros, man. You seem to be a rich guy if you bought this stuff yourself. What the hell? Light therapy. Looks like a little pistol there, like a little gun, like a little light gun. Yeah. With the light therapy, it's kind of interesting. Well, I could give my 2 cents. I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to tell this, yeah, but Mona is out of the room now, so we can actually have a little chat about it. When we started nursing, when Mona started nursing the baby, we had some issues with the nipples getting a bit sore. Okay, apparently this is a pretty common issue. If you don't prepare them and it's your first child and everything, then they really get rid of a lot of material there very quickly, and this can get really painful and can be actually there can be serious wounds there. Yeah. However, long story short, our nurse actually, or the nurse, is it a nurse, a hebamme, or midwife? Yeah? Our midwife told us that with laser therapy, we could actually increase the healing process of these wounds. And this is what they did then. They made appointments and she came with a little laser, and then they lasered that tissue for like 2 minutes or stuff. And apparently there is scientific proof of this actually working. Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest, if it worked in our case. What definitely happened is that at some point the nipples just simply got hardened up and toughened up enough so that the breastfeeding process just simply worked from there on. Yeah, because they got kind of numbed down in terms of pain. But in the beginning, they were super sensitive and it hurt quite a lot. I could really see it. Yeah, she struggled with pain there a lot. Yeah. But yeah, so there seem to be multiple applications for this kind of light therapy thing. How it really works, I don't know. How is it stimulating the healing process? I can't really think of anything. And I can't really think of anything that's not unhealthy in another way. Okay, I think the body should be let alone for the most part when it comes to healing itself and stuff. You should have a proper diet, you should have a proper lifestyle, blah 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 blah. But apart from that, the body is able to get stuff under control by itself usually. For me, it sounds like a very, very expensive lamp. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying. So who knows? Hopefully it's useful. Chili Chat says to Ivancho, actually sounds like some real good mumbo jumbo to me. Yeah. You have to be careful with this kind of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of scam artists out there, and they back their stuff up with science and blah blah blah. A lot of science is simply used as propaganda today. Yeah, science is another propaganda tool, unfortunately, nowadays. So use your head. Use your head. Question: does it make sense? Is this common sense? And stuff like that. Tom P says, "Hey Manny, do you prefer clipping with your thumb?" Yeah, actually I do it a lot. I think it's very reliable, it's very quick, and very effective. However, it is not the clipping method that gives you the most reach, actually. So if you have a really reachy clip, I go for a different method. All of this stuff I would talk about so gladly in my clipping technique video, would I eventually get it done. Yeah. This is gonna be in focus real soon, I think. As the outdoor climbing picks up more and more, as we get more frequent with that, as we get more frequently into the climbing gym again, I will get the necessary shots that I still need, and I'm gonna bang out a freakishly good technique episode about clipping technique. You can look forward to it, my friends. You can look forward to it. It's gonna be amazing. Luke Hope is here. I really dig your live streams. Again, you do here, so keep them coming. Yeah, I try my best, man. As I said, I'm sorry that I was late yesterday. Yeah, I tried my best, but couldn't make it in time. This time we did it. Still not sure, will I do another live stream next Sunday? As I said, we've been pretty consistent with the live streaming once per week so far on the Sundays on this channel, which is amazing. But it's actually, it takes a bit of calories. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit exhausting because you're reading the chat all the time, then you're thinking about what you want to say, and it's all happening at the same time. Then you watch how long is the stream already going, how long will you still go, da 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 da. It's kind of a lot of stuff that goes through your head like this, but I feel like the more routine I get with it, the better, or don't you think? I think I get into the flow a little bit better and better every stream, so that's really amazing to see. And I simply like doing the live streams, man. What can I say? How about a hangboard session, a hangboard live session again, so we can join you? Yeah, I was thinking about this as well, actually. Internet connection, empty gym, etc. Yeah, in fact, I do most of my hangboard sessions nowadays at home anyway, because here I've got the proper hangboard, and here I've got the proper internet connection as well, usually. Yeah. So this should be very well doable. I just waited for an opportunity, essentially, because I was sure that at some point it's going to happen, that I just have to get the last freaking hangboard session of my week of the comeback plan done on a Sunday in the evening. And it just comes together, with a live stream date and time. And in this case, of course, it would be super practical to simply just stream a hangboard session live and answer some questions in the resting times and stuff like that. So yeah, we can actually do that at some point again. I haven't planned it so far, how do you say, deliberately, but I think it's going to happen in some near future. Gasmatab is on the stream again. What's up, man? Servus Mani. What's up, Gasmatab? To loosen up the only climbing related question flow today. Oh yeah. Let's go for some non-climbing related stuff. Damn, the live stream receptacle is already emptied. Catastrophic happenings are upon us. What is the time and place in history you'd choose to live or have a look in as a time traveler? Do you watch TV shows? Wow, that's a good question. Oh man, that's a good question. I need to think about that one. With the time traveling thing, I would say one period in time that would really interest me. There's more periods in time, unfortunately. One period would be roughly like 20 to 30,000 years ago or something. Yeah, 20 to 30,000 years ago. It's actually quite a long time ago. I know this is still pre-Iron Age, I think. Pre-Bronze Age, not sure, Bronze Age. No, it's also pre-Bronze Age. Simply because I would like to see how the early predecessors, is that the correct term, of us humans today, how they lived, and whether it's true that they lived almost exclusively on meat, that they had a certain, hunter-gatherer lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. That would be really interesting to see. And also I would like to see if there is really old people as well. I would love to see their health. Okay, have they been healthy? Because what I assume, I can only assume it from nowadays perspective, because I haven't been there. I haven't seen them with my own eyes. But I would assume that they would actually have been pretty healthy. Yeah, especially when we go back a little bit further, even into the Neanderthal humans, hominids, or whatever you want to call them. They were pretty tall, they had huge brains, and they were probably pretty strong. Yeah, they had robust bodies. And I feel that these kind of people, they represent to us, in comparison to us, what kind of like a wolf represents compared to a domestic dog nowadays. Yeah. these people nowadays, we look down on them. We say they are primitives. They are, stupid with their stupid clubs. And I don't think that that was the case at all. I think that they actually have been pretty smart. They probably knew a lot about nature and its laws and how to obey them, how to read the seasons and all that kind of stuff. How to hunt, how to trick certain animals, how to work in groups, how to have social, work together. All this stuff that requires a really huge brain, requires, a socially developed brain to some degree, handling fire, just simply how they eat their food, how they ate their food. Yeah, that would be super interesting. What percentage of their meat did they cook? Did they cook everything? Did they eat some stuff raw? What about bone marrow? What about organs? What about berries, nuts, and fruits and stuff like that out in the wild? Were they really into it? Yeah, all that kind of stuff would be really interesting for me nowadays. So this period would be interesting. Then there is another period that would be really interesting to me, and that is the dawn of civilization, when we discovered the use of grains, roughly, I think, 10,000 years ago or something. So now we're getting closer to present pretty rapidly. Why is this interesting? I think that civilization as a phenomenon in human history is interesting in general because it is not selbstverständlich. It's not. We should not. How do you say that in English? We should not take for granted, I think. Is that the right saying? We should not take for granted that we have civilization. We lived without civilization for the by far longest period in our history, actually. Civilization is a very modern phenomenon, and it's only possible due to the development of grains and the discovery, essentially, of making these very cheap and easy to produce calories available to a very big population. This is what civilization requires, first and foremost, and that's when it forms. As soon as groups of people have access to this kind of stuff, they usually leave the hunter-gatherer stuff behind, often to their detriment, actually, because with grains comes a lot of diseases and stuff like that, obviously, that they did not have beforehand. And all of this stuff is quite interesting. Also, the fact that civilizations, and I've talked about this beforehand, allows a very small group of people to rise above a very large group of people. This is also something that we always can observe in civilizations, and we can observe it very well nowadays as well. In fact, now the difference between these two groups is greater than ever before. In a very tribal community, pretty much people are somewhat equal. Everybody has their place. Everybody is usually strong. Everybody is usually quite mentally fit. Otherwise, you would simply be excluded from the tribe. Nothing easier than that. So you have to comply to these rules to live and enjoy the secureness, the security, and the support of a tribe. There's maybe a tribe leader, but that's pretty much it in terms of hierarchy, as I feel it. So this would be an interesting period, I think, as well. 10,000 years ago, I think that is Iron Age or something. Bronze Age, Iron Age, around that time. And people already were able to craft brilliant masterpieces in terms of art and stuff like that out of these metals. Stuff which modern goldsmiths cannot reproduce. It's amazing what these people were actually able to do, and they must have been really fine in arts and character and all of this kind of stuff. And then another period that would be really interesting would be the Renaissance, actually. So the period that came after the Dark Ages, when Christianity had had control over the Europeans, essentially, full force. I mean, they still have somewhat control over this area, but not comparable to the Dark Ages, essentially. And the breaking out of it, the rediscovery of science and the rediscovery of arts, of pagan arts especially, this must have been a very interesting time period as well. And I think, to be honest, if I'm looking at artworks from this period, I can't find anything modern nowadays that could in any way, shape, or form resemble the skills that these artists had back in the day. Yeah. So I think in terms of art, when it comes to paintings, pictures, also the music that was created during this time, stuff like this is unprecedented, or I don't know what's I'm throwing around with vocabulary here that I don't even know myself. Forgive me if I say something wrong, but it is hard to find something in modern times that comes close to this. I have the feeling nowadays it's actually going into the other direction again. Yeah, the buildings that we build nowadays are a lot uglier than the buildings that they built back in the day. The paintings that they paint nowadays are a lot uglier than the paintings that they painted back in this period, in the Renaissance. Yeah, but I mean, that's only natural. In the meantime, we discovered another crutch. We termed it invention, but it turned out to be another crutch, which is photography and filmmaking and that kind of stuff. With the rise of photography, it obviously became unimportant to become a good realistic painter anymore. Yeah, and all the realists from back in the day, the model drawers and all that stuff, it kind of died out because it became unnecessary. You could just do a picture of people with a photo apparatus, with a camera, and these people are gone in that kind of sense because of this crutch. Now we don't need to have this ability anymore to paint according to reality. Yeah. Consequently, people wander off into the complete other direction, into abstract arts, and people draw a freaking circle, hang it on the wall, sell it for $355,000 or something like that. I mean, the craze that we live in nowadays is really beyond imagination, my friends. It's beyond imagination. Anyway, point being that this would be another interesting period to live in. I think the Renaissance, when all these arts really reached their peak, actually, because I think since then it's actually going downhill pretty much in a lot of these points. Again, uglier buildings, uglier paintings, uglier music, definitely. But anyway, that's just the way how it goes. Yeah, that's just the times we live in. We have to make the best out of it. Do you watch TV shows? No, not at all. I don't even own a TV. I quit watching TV since I moved out of my mom's place. I don't know, when I was 20, 21 years old or something like that. I'm not sure anymore. Since then, I basically had no TV anymore, and I didn't watch TV anymore. I was already pretty much into YouTube back then. So from then on, I simply got all of my info from YouTube, which I think, to be honest, from today's perspective, is the better decision anyway, if you have the ability to select carefully who you draw information from. Obviously, not everything that is displayed on YouTube is good stuff. We all know that. But if you have a decent capability of selecting information, then you can actually find some amazing stuff on YouTube. And you can still, although we're almost carried over from the information age into the disinformation age, you can still get some very valuable information from the internet. Yeah, not from the mainstream anymore. They gave up proper journalism a long time ago, but there is still the internet. Unfortunately, it's getting heavily censored as well, more and more as time goes by. So be quick with your research. Be quick. Felix says, "Hi Manny, what's your opinion on tapering / deload weeks at the end of a training cycle? As I said, if you don't have any specific reason for that, let's say you have an injury or you have a strain, you have an overuse, I wouldn't change your running system. If you're still gaining, if you're still putting on personal bests each and every session, there is absolutely no need to change anything. You should only change something for two reasons. First, you get injured. Then what you simply do is you reduce the intensity. You do your stuff below pain threshold and climb it away ideally, or you plateau. When do you plateau? If you do the same or less good results for 3 sessions, if you do not break your personal best for 3 sessions in a row, then you plateau. Okay, then it's time to change something up. Deload weeks at the end of a training cycle. If I feel good and I feel fit, then I don't feel the need to do a deload week. That would be counterintuitive to me. I would rather make use of the fact that I'm fit now, yeah, and crush some hard stuff. Do you do it? No. Music Scala says, how important do you think is YouTube for climbing? If theoretically YouTube bans all climbing videos, how big of an impact would it have? I think Magnus alone introduced 100,000 people to climbing. Yeah, nowadays social media, yeah, it has a huge impact on climbing, obviously. Yeah, where would climbing be without YouTube? Good question. Obviously, it would be less big. Yeah, another sport, quote unquote, if you want to call it like that, another martial arts, you could say, is actually now undergoing another renaissance. Now that we talked about it already. Just like the same way as climbing did recently via social media, and that's actually arm wrestling. Yeah, arm wrestling went completely under the radar for the longest time, and it is now blooming. It is blooming. A lot of people are interested in it, and a lot of people do it, including myself. I find it's funny as well. And why is that? Because of social media, of course. Yeah. So if you make it on social media, you make it into reality sooner or later. This is the power of social media. We can see it here firsthand in the form of climbing, in the form of arm wrestling, whatever it may be. As soon as it goes viral, we will see that in reality. Yeah, and is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. Yeah, there's not really any problems that come with it. I could see problems with too many people, the climbing gym dude kind of guy going outdoors and leaving their trash laying around and stuff like that. I could imagine problems coming from this phenomenon. But the reality of the things is that a lot of people actually stay in climbing gyms and they like the atmosphere of the climbing gyms, and they just like to train and then hang out with their friends, drink a cup of coffee, eat a sandwich and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not really the outdoor climbing content that is exploding so much. It's rather the indoor climbing content, and it's understandably so, because indoor climbing content is a lot more accessible for the normal person out there, quote unquote. Yeah. In the meantime, almost everybody has access to a climbing gym, and they can just simply go there, put some money on the table, and try this stuff out. But for outdoor climbing, you actually need someone who has experience, who has the gear, which people don't have at the beginning usually. So this is not as accessible. Indoor climbing is very accessible, and it's also made to be very accessible. Yeah, it's very profitable as well. Climbing gyms are shooting out of the ground like mushrooms. Yeah, so yeah, definitely, social media had a huge impact on the whole development. Esmatab says, can't stand Magnus. He doesn't seem humble at all and does a lot of nonsense content. Was about to ask Manny for his opinion on him, but then I thought, but now that you've mentioned him, what's your opinion on Magnus and his sensation-seeking content, Manny? I mean, maybe he's a cool dude personally, but just saying, it's not my cup of tea. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea either. What happened with Magnus there is, I think what a lot of people don't know, the Juji Mufu collabs that he did. There is actually another guy involved into making Juji Mufu's content. I think the Tim guy, which is now in his channel name as well, and I think now the channel is called Juji and Tim, or Tim and Juji, or something like that. And they actually approached Magnus, as far as I remember, and told him, hey, we're these fitness kind of dudes, we have a huge fitness audience, we would like to showcase a climber and do some training episodes with him and stuff like that. And that's how they actually, as far as I remember it, this Tim guy played a huge role in making Magnus's channel as big as it is nowadays. Yeah, don't quote me on that. This is just simply what I have seen. But yeah, Magnus's channel underwent a significant explosion in audience at some point. Yeah. But yeah, to be fair, I mean, he's a super fit dude. He has a lot of stuff just simply going for him. Yeah, he does all that ninja warrior stuff and all this really mainstream attracting content. So that's what you get, yeah, when you want to make it into the mainstream, when you want to have a bigger channel. This is this is also always for me the thing. I wouldn't even want it to be that big of a channel. Sometimes my climbing channel, I like it having it small and cozy. I don't need the money. Yeah. Something on the side that you should know. I mean, these climbing channels, Magnus's climbing channel produces a shit ton of ad revenue. Yeah, you can't imagine. It's like, just simply figure out that even with my ad revenue on my small little climbing channel compared to his, I can survive pretty okay with without struggling too much in terms of financial issues and stuff like that. Sure, I'm not a rich dude. I'm a pretty modest guy. I live a simple life. I have nothing to compare about, by all means, but I can get by, okay, with this kind of earnings. So Magnus's earnings, who gets about, like, I don't know, 10, 20 times as many views as I do, you can imagine what his kind of earnings look like. Yeah, this is something that is often very overlooked. Making a channel go this big is a very profitable thing. Yeah, so it is a simple calculation. Do you want to go into the mainstream and get this kind of reward for it, or do you want to keep it cozy and authentic and personal and stuff like that, and say goodbye to the revenue? Yeah, because there is very rare occasions where both at the same time is possible, according to my experience on social media, at least. Yeah, if people get too big, then the personality and stuff like that of the content suffers to some degree. But this is just my 2 cents on it. What I can say is I wrote a couple of emails with Magnus once when I did my Norway trip, and I went through Oslo, and I messaged him, I think, one day before I passed through. And if he would have been up for it, we could have made a little video together or something like that. That's what I wrote him. And there he was busy, so he didn't have time. I kept going to Flatanger, did my climbing there, and then I wrote him again on the way down, but there he didn't respond anymore. Yeah, so these were pretty much the only interactions that I had with Magnus back in the day, when I was there, actually, in Norway. I'm just telling this story all the time because people constantly message me, oh, did you already try to collab with Magnus? It would be so cool if you could collab with Magnus and stuff like that. I realized that a lot of people would like to see this and stuff. Again, when I was there, I just wrote him an email, tried to make some stuff happening, but it's not like I would kind of completely go off my own plans just to be able to finally get a Magnus collab or stuff like that. It would have been maybe fun to do and stuff, but yeah, if it didn't happen, so it didn't. There is no big loss there as well. Yeah, so that's what I can say about that. I think personally, he's a pretty cool guy still. Yeah, maybe his content is sensationalistic. This is now the type of channel that he has. We just have to live with that. Obviously, it yielded success to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it. Yeah. Jean Ramses, what's up, man? Hey, Manny, I wondered, what do you think about the easy routes where there's one bolt every 5 meters and high chances of ground fall? Do you think it trains your mental, or is it just dangerous? I think it's just dangerous. An easy route with 5 meters bolt distances and ground fall potential is not easy. Yeah, it's actually mentally pretty challenging. And although the climbing may be easy from a difficulty point of view, from a physical difficulty point of view, if you send someone in this route who's actually barely able to do the grade, they actually have a pretty high chance of injury there still, because maybe they do the ground fall then. Yeah. So I've got this experience when I tried Czech sandstone for the first time, where the runouts are crazy, and there is kind of 6C sport climbs where you basically have to free solo to the first bolt, which is at 6 meters height or something, and the crux of the route is at the end of these 6 meters. So essentially, if you're not a solid 7B climber and you're absolutely sure that you can onside this part of the route, well, you wouldn't go in there. Yeah. So this is obviously dangerous, because someone who climbs, let's say 7A, he looks into the guidebook and sees 7A. Ah, nice. Okay, I can do the 7A easily. This is only 6C. Let's try it out. Goes into it, and then gasses out for some reason, makes a mistake in front of the bolt and makes a 5 meter grounder. These things can happen there. Is it necessary? Well, when we're talking about this area, then there's a lot of ethics involved and a lot of history and stuff. So people who climbed there usually know about these circumstances. So we can assume that it's gonna not lead to a lot of accidents there. Yeah. But still, I mean, it bears potential for accidents. That's all I can say. You gotta be careful. Always use your head. Yeah. Look for the first bolt beforehand, before you start. Maybe you have an inconvenient surprise once you're on the wall. Yeah. Always look. Istvan Ivancho says, one book recommendation about civilization. Daniel Quinn, Ismail. Okay, let's look it up. Daniel Quinn, Ismail. Haven't heard of that so far, I must say. Ein Lehrer und seine Schüler streiten über den Zustand der Welt. Wie konnte der Mensch das Paradies in eine Hölle verwandeln? Ismail, der Lehrer, weiß eine überraschend lange andere Geschichte der Evolution zu erzählen. Sie reicht zurück bis an jenen biblischen Tag, da sich der Mensch in mörderischem Bruderstreit zur Krone der Schöpfung machte. Übrigens, Ismail ist ein Gorilla. Daniel Quinn, ein ehemaliger Trappistenmönch, hat 15 Jahre an dem Roman Ismail gearbeitet und wurde 1991 dafür mit dem Ted Turner Award, dem höchst dotierten Literaturpreis Amerikas, ausgezeichnet. Er lebt in Houston, Texas. Teacher and his student are discussing about the state of the world. How could humans transform the paradise into hell? Yeah, sounds interesting. So much I can tell. Jordan Heller says, you talked about how after you climbed 9A, you will stop climbing. No, I didn't say I stopped climbing. I probably, very likely, will never stop climbing. What sports or interests do you have in mind for when you eventually quit? As I said, I won't stop climbing. Climbing is just simply a too amazing sport to just give up. It's just an amazing complete body workout. So I enjoy it, and it's coupled with a lot of adventure, with different countries, with different languages, different people. All these amazing aspects of climbing I really like, so I won't quit it only because I sent a 9A. What I will change, though, is the balls to the walls hardcore approach. Yeah. Again, as I said previously, I don't think that it's healthy to to go super extreme on a certain kind of sport with your body for a very long time. Especially as you get older, these things add up and you're gonna feel it at some point. Yeah, you're gonna feel the destruction that you've brought upon your body, and it's gonna let you feel it via injuries, via overtraining, via burning out on the stuff. So will I try to center 9A? Of course. Will I put my life at stake to get it done? No. Will I quit the sport when I get it done? No. I will just simply do it at a lesser extreme level. Yeah. Which is something that we have to live with at any point in time anyway. And because we can't perform at our peak limit forever. And I think with climbing, peak limit is actually reached somewhere around age 30. Yeah. Because then experience is pretty high, can be pretty high already, but physical power is still not super low. Physical stuff like finger strength divided by body weight and so on is actually already going down once you're in your 30s. Yeah. But experience is still growing pretty rapidly, can grow really rapidly around that age. And the point where both of them added together are the highest is roughly about in your 30s, in the beginning of your 30s, that is. That's my opinion. So beyond that, to try super hard balls to the walls beyond that is questionable to me. Yeah. Especially if you already sent super hard, then there is really nothing more to prove there, really. Yeah, I have the feeling. But we will see how it turns out, man. Music Scala. Very interesting question by Gasmatab. Gasmatab, what's your opinion of Magnus and his sensation-seeking content? Okay. Okay. Maybe that was another question meant because you're talking about something else. Do you think paganism is the natural way of living with nature? I feel many people are searching their connection to our ancestors and nature. Yeah, you feel correctly. In fact, we've got a very interesting tendency of people here in the Europeans, in the Western world, towards Eastern philosophy and stuff like that. A lot of people, if you haven't noticed already, I'm sure you have, they are into yoga, they are into Buddhism, they are into meditating, they are into Zen and Tai Chi and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are into these kind of things. A lot of people are into Buddhism because of the reincarnation aspect, for example. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that in the original paganism beliefs that we had here in Europe, reincarnation was a central part of this belief, actually. So for our ancestors, reincarnation was the mode of coming back into this realm as well. Yeah, not only for Buddhism. This idea is, of course, not unique to Buddhism. In fact, a lot of very basic religions, a lot of very natural beliefs, or I don't like to call it religions even, but like natural beliefs, these people who lived in balance with nature and stuff like that. Reincarnation is essentially necessary for this, because if you come back into the same realm that you have come from, well, then you can't ruin it, right? There is nothing to gain, nothing to lose in this life that you have to get done super quickly now, because afterwards you're going to be gone forever. And now you have to spend all the resources as quickly as possible to have an as intense life as possible, because you will never come back. You have to burn the fortune that you received from your grandparents so that your kids will have nothing anymore. This kind of consumerism that is upon us today is in fact a lack of this very ursprünglich, original, I should say, this original belief that we had here in the Europeans, which evolved around reincarnation as well. That's why we had the burial mounds and everything. People sent their children, I think at Halloween, or was it some kind of celebrations, They sent them into the burial mounds to prove themselves and go to their ancestors and pick up their things. And depending on what stuff they picked up, this is the spirit that drove into this young being then, and they were literally this guy to whom this or that sword belonged, right, in the burial mound. Just like the Dalai Lama in Buddhism got showed different things from the previous Dalai Lama, and depending on what this kid picked up, what it recognized from his previous lives, if you want to call it like that, it became the next Dalai Lama. Yeah, this is how these things are selected. It is pretty similar if you look at it from a spiritual point of view to the Eastern religions. The original beliefs that we had here in paganism in Europe, it is pretty similar in a number of areas, yeah, not only in the reincarnation stuff. And I believe that with the dawn of Christianity here, which played a crucial part in eradicating this stuff from the surface of the Europeans, well, obviously, a lot of people are lost now because they cannot really identify with this new thing, which really feels like a I don't know, what's it called? A secte, like a cult. Cult is the word that I'm looking for. Yeah, like this it feels to us. Yeah, we are still wandering in the dark, searching for this. I mean, if you ask the average guy on the street, they will tell you, well, Christianity is the original beliefs of the Europeans. It was always like that. It always has been there. Yes, it has been there for a freaking long time already, 2,000 years or something. Yeah. And then came the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages just simply removed the paganism stuff completely from the earth. This, again, is why I said Renaissance is just an interesting time period, because in the Renaissance, paganism to some degree had a revival. Yeah? It came back for once, which you can see in the artworks that come from this period. Yeah? So the people have lost this connection to the ancestors and nature, exactly as you describe it, and that's why they search this stuff nowadays in the Eastern religions, in the Eastern beliefs, where they still exist. Yeah? Would they only know that in their own original beliefs it is existing just as well? Well, then there wouldn't be no need to go so much abroad, to do all the yogi meditation stuff and stuff like that. They would know about Odin and all the Freya and the nature gods out there, the polytheism that we had once in this area. Very similar to the Greek polytheism, and obviously also very similar to the Roman polytheism, which essentially is all one. Yeah? The European cultural, geological, and cultural entity is one in its belief systems and stuff like that. Now it is one as well, in the form of the thing that replaced it, which is Christianity, essentially, which is now, funnily enough, replaced through another thing again. But yes, it's a different story. So we see here these things change. If people only knew about their traditions and where they come from, essentially. Yeah. So now again, and it also has to do with the fact that the world is changing so fast and rapidly nowadays. This is another very unnatural state. I've talked about this previously. Back in the day, like 50,000 years ago, a person like me, I can be pretty sure that my grandson will have just exactly the same lifestyle as my granddad. Yeah. So how is this possible? Well, there's not really a lot of change there. Also, these people had a completely different perception of time. For them, time was a circle. It was a stationary thing. For us nowadays, time is a timeline. And this timeline rushes forward faster and faster. My child will have a completely different lifestyle than I have, just like I have a completely different lifestyle than my granddad has, yeah? Because time is moving so fast nowadays, and it really gives this impression of a linear time, which is actually not the case. It is still stationary. Yeah. So all these things remove us more and more from our roots, and it lets us search more and more, and it lets us search in the dark more and more. Chili Chat says, I would disagree that mainstream journalism gave up a long time ago. There is still very good mainstream journalism out there. What do you mean by mainstream? Well, with mainstream, I mean the main news outlets like CNN, for example, over in the Americas, or I don't know. Well, the mainstream media, essentially, the state news. Here it's, for example, the ORF, the österreichische Rundfunk. Yeah, I mean, compared to other journalism outlets, the österreichische Rundfunk, I have the impression, is still quite doable. But it's also hard to watch. You will never hear of a pandemic critic on the ORF or on CNN. You will also never hear about a climate change critic on these outlets. Yeah, these outlets are there to push a certain story, to push a certain agenda, which is there to steer the population into a certain direction. I've talked about that in the previous live stream. However, that doesn't mean that there is no arguments for these people. Yeah. Climate skeptics have extremely good arguments. They have extremely good measurements. They have extremely convincing statistics. So to claim that only the pro-climate change people have all the wisdom and have all the science on their side, and you're basically stupid and a complete conspiracy theorist if you don't believe that, if you question this narrative, is totally unscientific. This is the truth, because scientific is only what questions the current theory, the current status quo. Yeah, a theory is always to be questioned. A hypothesis must withstand constant testing. So if their hypothesis is that climate change is man-made, for example, and not just simply a natural phenomenon, which can be very well the case as well. Climate is changing, as I've said previously, since thousands of years. It's like the seasons. This is completely normal. We have different solar circles around the sun, yeah, with the Earth. Sometimes we are closer to the sun, sometimes we are further away from the sun. This changes in a rhythm of around 20, 30,000 years. That's when we have ice ages and warm periods and stuff like that. All these stuff, that's highly scientific stuff. Everybody would agree on that. Yet you will never hear about this, because that puts a completely different perspective onto phenomena that we see nowadays. Yeah. And this is how proper journalism would look like. You would see proponents of the one theory and proponents of the other theory, especially if both of them have very scientific arguments. Yet you don't see that on the mainstream. So that's, for me, giving up proper journalism. And this is happening for a very long time already. Yeah. Gasmatab says, top answer on the time traveling. Agree. TV shows, I meant like Netflix, Amazon shows. No, not at all. Not at all. I think I've seen one episode of Game of Thrones, which since then I only call Game of Thrones. Just for the hell of it. I don't know. I always have to laugh when I watch YouTube, because then they always give me the Game of Thrones game advertisement. Do you know about that? I'm pretty sure you got that a lot as well. It's so funny. They must have spent so much effort and time into these advertisements. They made so many different advertisements for Game of Thrones ads on YouTube. It's amazing. But anyway, yeah, I've seen one episode of Game of Thrones, I think, and one episode of Vikings and stuff. But yeah, I'm not really into all of this stuff. Yeah, I watch it rather for the fun. If some kind of friend of mine wants to watch an episode of stuff like that, and then I make fun about the stupid hairstyles of the actors all of the time. So yeah, what can I do? It's just not my cup of tea, as somebody else commented beforehand. I meant like Netflix, Amazon shows. Just a good show you can stream. TV is dead long ago. Yeah, that's pretty true. Yeah. I've seen yeah, really only one. I've seen one episode of Breaking Bad. Nothing could really hook me, man. Nothing could really hook me. What can I do? Smanka says, yo. That's the kind of comments, Yo. Simple, to the point. Not much more to say. Jean Ramsey says, do you consider doing a video about how to set well? I've talked about how to set well in the recent episode on footholds and stepping and stuff like that. Nowadays, it's really about setting a system wall well, for me at least. I haven't sat in a modern bouldering gym in a long time ago, yeah? So in order for me to do the coordinative, jumpy, modern bouldering style, I would still have to learn a bit of stuff, yeah, to be able to pull that off, I think, especially in the higher grades. I'm not a specialist for that at all, yeah. But I do have set quite a couple of routes, rope climbing routes in a climbing gym, that is, and I have set a system wall. A couple of times. I also set a couple of boulders in my old school bouldering gym in Vienna. However, they didn't really have the space for the super abstract jumpy dynamic stuff. Yeah, so it was not such a big deal with setting modern stuff there. It's rather basic bouldering problems that we set there. Music Scala says, Juji and Tom actually wanted Alex Megos for a collab before Magnus. How funny would it have been if Alex went the path of Magnus? That's interesting. I never heard about that. Yeah, but I can imagine, because Alex was, I think, a bit more on the forefront when it comes to super strong top-notch climbers at that time. Maybe he wasn't interested, but to be honest, Alex also doesn't need it because he already has Red Bull on his side. Yeah. So the unfortunate truth is, when it comes to all of these decisions nowadays, you always also have to ask yourself who is profiting from it, who is already their sponsors, with what kind of contracts are they already working. Yeah. And this often limits people to quite in their decision making, obviously. Yeah. If you're already on the side of Red Bull, then, well, there's no real need to become a big YouTube star or anything like that. It's just like why Roger Federer doesn't really have a YouTube channel, because there is no need for it. Yeah, this guy just has enough money already. The fact is that a big YouTube channel is very profitable, in fact, and that for a lot of climbers, it's a very decent income. Yeah, some climbers are appreciative of that. Some people can make good use of this money, and some people just simply don't need it. If you already are sponsored by the big guys, then there is no real need for that, in my opinion. Babs Soto says, Magnus needs to make money somehow to sustain himself, and the pure climbing content just doesn't bring the same number of views as things like Ninja Warrior. Yeah, exactly. Although I would argue, I mean, when it comes to Magnus, doesn't he already have a climbing gym as well? I mean, he owns a climbing gym in Norway or stuff, or he opened a climbing gym, something like that. I think Magnus is pretty made at this point in time. So I don't see any more problems there at this point. Matthias Ladstetter says, what a pity that I wasn't able to watch the stream to keep it up, Manny. Yeah, you can watch it in hindsight, man. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be there as usual. Chili Chat. So American news, well, So American news, well, that is a joke. yeah, it is pretty much. Jean Ramsès says, man, there's a scientific consensus on climate change. Hypothesis is always questioned. Yeah? A scientific consensus per se can almost not exist. But okay, I know what you want to say. And this is warming up a lot faster than naturally. Jean Ram says, even do if in a way human are natural. Even do if in a way human are natural. Yeah, the last one I didn't really get, I must admit. But I know what you want to say. Yeah, the scientific consensus and stuff like that. Show me the calculations, okay? Show me the models that they are using. Show me how they calculate the CO2 that every tree picks up, that every piece of algae in the ocean picks up. Show me the numbers that volcanoes put out, that hot deep sea hot vents put out. Show me these numbers. How do you want to measure these numbers? Yeah. What you can measure is the parts per million in the atmosphere and stuff like that. And yes, there it's going up. If you see the whole diagram with the whole, with the whole, what's it called, with the whole scale, then you will actually see that it's going up like this. Yeah, a few parts per million might be induced to humanity. Yeah, we are burning a lot of fossil fuels. That's true. However, I would argue that the freaking Earth is, the Earth is just so freaking huge. There is so many factors to calculate into this consideration. It's beyond our imagination, in my opinion. On some places in the world, the forest is growing. On some places in the world, the forest gets deforested. On some places in the world, the glaciers are growing. On some places in the world, the glaciers are melting. Both of these things occur on different places in the Earth. Well, what is the news doing? The news is obviously only gaslighting the things that are pro climate change, the things that are pro global warming. 50 years ago, or 60 or 70 years ago, I'm not sure how long ago it actually was, there were actually headlines in the newspapers of scientists claiming that a new ice age is upon us. Fear, fear, a new ice age is upon us, according to blah, 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 scientific da-da-da, record winter, da-da-da-da-da. It just gets clicks, okay? It gets views, it gets clicks. This is sensationalistic content. What's nowadays getting clicks is global warming, yeah? And so they follow the clicks. Either they are following the clicks and the money that comes with it, the advertising money, or they are just simply following the mainstream narrative because they want to steer the population into a certain direction. Yeah, I cannot possibly know which one of the two is the case. What I can say is that there are very scientific arguments on both sides. Yeah, just like there's very scientific arguments on both sides when it comes to the pandemic. However, only one side gets very much executed and the other one not at all. This is not neutral journalism, in my opinion. Yeah. Hesma Shoaib says, Hamza, why should fringe news be represented on mainstream media? Should we also have people who claim we are ruled by reptiles, COVID is caused by 5G, etc.? Well, the thing is, where do you draw the line, right? Where do you draw the line between a conspiracy theory and just another opinion? In my opinion, if there is some sort of scientific basis to back it up, there is a place for this stuff. Yeah, that's how I see it. What I have seen is there is scientific arguments on both sides of these spectrums when it comes to these topics that we talked about. Yeah, when it comes to COVID, 5G, reptiles, I mean, come on, this stuff is super much out there. Yes, if the mainstream media would bring this stuff, then probably the dude who's never watched YouTube, who only watched mainstream media so far, will think, oh my god, they have gone crazy already. I mean, we who are in contact with YouTube, we know that this crazy stuff is out there as well. And when I see it nowadays, it just makes me laugh, honestly, because it's funny what we have come to in the meantime. Yeah, this doesn't mean though that everything is BS that is out there and not on the mainstream. Yeah, that's not true. There is very, very valuable stuff out there as well that you will never see on the mainstream. Absolutely not, because it's almost too good, for them to bring it. It makes you too independent. It makes you too too healthy. It makes you too uncontrollable, and this is something that they don't like. They like society in control. It seems like society is becoming more divided regarding politics, and way too many people look at things in absolutes. This is very true as well. Yeah, the divisiveness of these kind of things is extreme, and people think in black and white. This is also true. Yeah, there is nuance to everything. This is again another point. Yeah, bring in different opinions. If you want to get closer to a truthful perspective, you have to consider different opinions. By blocking out one side of the spectrum completely, you get a very bizarre view of reality. Yeah, if you're only watching the mainstream news, then you will think that everywhere forests are burning. Yeah. Meanwhile, forest burnings are, first of all, a completely natural thing in very many places in the world where it's consistently hot and dry. Some plants even need forest burnings for the seeds to be able to crack open, to be able to grow again. Yeah, so plants and the flora and fauna is actually adapted to these kind of forest burnings. They are so natural and regular and consistent there. Yeah. In another place of the world, forests are growing rapidly. Yeah. Again, something I've talked about as well. It really depends on where you shine your light on. And if you do this very selectively, then you get a very distorted perception of reality. Hamza Shoaib, where there isn't scientific consensus, the debate will occur within the scientific community. Mainstream media is not the venue for this sort of debate. Yeah, but mainstream media should value different opinions which have some sort of a scientific basis equally. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Paul B, what's up, man? Welcome back to the stream. Oh man, we're already going for 2 hours. I was actually thinking about not going for so long today, but yeah, let's see what we have here. We're almost, we're getting new questions down in the chat all the time, man. You're very diligent with posting questions today. By the way, if you enjoy the stream, drop a like. As I've said previously, that always helps when it comes to the algorithms and stuff. Thank you. That is very much appreciated. Live stream receptacle is already empty for a couple of time. I must unfortunately say, hey Manny, did you heard that the World Economic Forum is pushing the Great Reset, quote unquote, and want to sell it as environmentally friendly new economy and government? I cannot believe this. Just a little trailer. Yeah, man. I don't want to paint any super black pictures here or stuff. Yeah. All I'm saying, this is something that I say to everybody that I talk about this stuff. Have open eyes, have open ears. Follow these developments carefully and act accordingly if it's getting too strange for you. Yeah, this is what any person with common sense would do, right? And we live in a very crazy world today. We live in a very freakishly crazy world today. Yeah, I always tell people it's actually it's actually one of the most interesting times that we have witnessed so far on the place, on this realm. Yeah, going back in history, it's crazy, and a lot of things are going downhill. But in terms of interestingness, of crazy stuff that's going on out there, it's actually on a new level. I think on a level that is unreached, unprecedented in history, I could say. Sure, that's just... Yeah, I forgot the last one. Yaroslav Nosa says, do you think it is possible that Jakob Schubert will strip down the bibliography to 9B+? He was able to repeat all of the moves in a couple of days. Yeah, Jakob Schubert is freakishly strong, okay? He is freakishly strong. We will see what he's going to do with it, if he rips it apart or not. We'll see. Jean Ramses says, the earth is big, but there is humans all around. Yeah, that's true. There's humans all around, but the problems with these kind of things is, how do you quantify these things? Show me the calculations. You will never see any calculations about this stuff, simply because it is not possible to calculate all this stuff. It's not possible. How you will ever... do you think we can understand this chemical reaction that is taking place in the Earth's atmosphere? Just all the all the freaking bacteria that live out there in the air, okay, doing chemical reactions, all the bacteria in the soil, permanently taking carbon out of the air, putting it back into the soil, taking methane out of the air, evaporating methane as well, okay? These processes take place all the time. If someone tells you that this has been figured out 100% and here is the result, look, we have the clear result, this is it, bottom line, you cannot be so accurate about this kind of stuff. It is just beyond our comprehension what's going on there. There's super many bacterial species that we haven't even discovered yet so far. Yeah, we know this because we know the bacterial phylogenetic tree from a genetic standpoint, and we see that there's quite a couple of places where stuff is lacking because we haven't still yet discovered it. We don't know the metabolisms of these guys. We don't know how they create energy, what kind of organic compounds they're using. We cannot even know all the factors that go into this calculation. Yeah. Consequently, in my opinion, we cannot know for sure whether these changes, whether you want them changes or you want to call them changes that go into a certain direction, actually, because as I have said, these things develop into different directions depending onto the place where you're looking at on the Earth. Yeah. To say that these changes which are occurring is due to our impact is there's just the same amount of scientific arguments that go against that as well as are pro with that. Yeah. Claudia Boli says, if you're climbing a route with 2 pitches and you've already climbed until route 1, if you climb route 2 first go, does it count as a flash onside red point? No, actually not. If the first pitch adds something to the grade of the whole route, definitely not. Yeah. If it's like, okay, let's say you've got this 6C start leading into an 8C prolongation, and then there is also this 8B plus prolongation, and you already projected the 8C part, and you sent it already, you red pointed it, and then you try a flash go on the 8B plus, and you have to do the same ascent through the 6C. Well, then the 6C doesn't really add any grade to the 8B plus. I mean, if you would be super strict, ethically speaking, even then it would not count as a flash because you already know the 6C part down there, and you could as well fall on the 6C part. Yeah, why not on the flash? Since you already know it, this probability is strongly reduced. Hence, it cannot really be called a flash anymore. Yeah. However, when the grade differences are this big, the ethics commission will usually say that the 6C doesn't really add anything to the 8B plus, so you can as well try a flash on the 8B plus, although you already know the beginning part from the 8C that you've tried before. Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting question actually, and something that is often discussed in the on-sighting and flashing commission, as I've said. Is this talk about climate change bro science, quote unquote? We are all just amateurs, so why not trust 99.9% of the scientists, right? By the way, there has been a paper since the 80s warning of climate change. It is not 99.9% of the scientists. That's I doubt it. It is very likely that more than half of the scientists are pro climate change, simply because it is the narrative to go by nowadays if you want to receive funding for your studies. Yeah, but I don't think it's 99.9%. Yeah. Carlo Benettoni, hey Manny, do you think I can improve finger strength or general strength by only lead climbing on rock about 3 to 4 times a week? I usually climb 7A second go. I'm a bad on-sighter and 7B/7C in a few days. The great questions all the time. So let's see. I think yes, of course you can, especially with bouldery routes. You can improve your finger strength, especially 3 to 4 times a week. Man, you're blessed. You're privileged. You have a lot of outdoor time. I usually climb 7A second go. Yeah, for sure. Climb bouldery routes. Yeah. Climb bouldery routes and you will be able to increase your finger strength definitely, especially with 3 to 4 times a week. Go for it. And Paul B says, the sad thing is that it is already too strange for me. The problem is I do not really know what to do. Yeah, man. What can I say? That's up to you. Yeah, that's up to you. Regardless of however crazy it might get, okay, and however whatever else happens, it is just a big test for us. Yeah, we can make the best out of it. We can always make the best out of it. This is also no reason to become pessimistic or stuff like that. Yeah, still, I'd rather call these times interesting than calling them bad or, oh my God, I wish I was born 500 years earlier. Then people still had some sort of sanity or stuff like that. Yeah, maybe they had a bit more sanity, but you can still make the best of it these days. And again, this is a truth versus mindset approach here again. What's the better mindset? Well, of course, the better mindset is to make the best of the situation that you can. Yeah, regardless of however crazy it might get. This is what I would say. There is no reason to be to get pessimistic about this stuff. This is just simply a critical view on reality, which is something that every critical thinking human being should have. And you should act accordingly. Just don't be afraid to step out of the norm, especially nowadays. Usually what the norm is doing is very questionable. Don't be afraid to step out of it. Use your common sense, be intelligent, and act, okay? If you have the instinct and the drive to do something, then do it. Yeah? Make the best of the situation all the time. And Jean Ramsey says, and big change in atmosphere already happened with cyanobacteria that changed the primitive atmosphere, essentially composed of water, into the atmosphere we know now. And those were 1,000 times smaller than we are. Yeah, That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's these little buggers out there making their way through atmosphere, doing stuff, doing chemical reactions. That's what they do. That's how they create their energy. Yeah, just like our mitochondria create energy by fermenting carbohydrates or breaking down fatty acids via beta oxidation or burning ketones and stuff like that. I mean, actually, ketones are they burned in the mitochondria? Yes, I think they are. Carlo Benettoni, by the way, last we were talking about Trieste. Remember, you still have my friend's email if you want to hit us up and organize when you're coming. I will come. You will get that email. Jordan Heller says, Jaroslav Nosa, bibliography is an endurance route with an 8A plus crux, polo crux, that is. Doing all the moves isn't the hard part because you have to connect all of them. Yeah, that's what I was saying as well about the route when Alex Megos told that it's an 8A plus crux. There must be more to this, a significant power endurance sequence before the crux. Actually, otherwise it could never get up to 9C. Hamza Shoaib says, a model does not need to simulate a system 100% to make predictions about the system. It does if it wants to claim the cause for the tendons the system exhibits, okay? Yes, of course you can record a trend very easily on some sort of spot, but still trends are existing all of the time. We always have climate change. The climate is changing. To believe that the climate is a constant thing is BS. The climate has always been changing. The problem that these people, the thing that these people do is that they say it's us that caused it. Yeah, it's us that caused it. We are the bad boys here. I say, well, the climate has always been changing. There is freaking huge other factors involved in this as well. It could be that humanity has a cooling effect on the globe, but because we are moving closer to the sun, because we are in a different solar circle than we have been 20,000 years ago, it's actually getting warmer. So that's the problem I have, okay? These people talk with super much certainty that that it's our thing, and to me it also would make some sort of sense to push this narrative, yeah, because again, this is an opportunity to sell certain ideas, to sell security, and in fact increase control, which is something that they very much like to do, yeah, and here I always get, what should I say, hellhörig. I always get big ears, okay, when I hear about some stuff like that. I always think critically of this stuff nowadays. And I've studied biology myself, okay? I know how the atmosphere is composed. I know that there are certain factors influencing it. But, man, the globe is huge, yeah? The models are simplified because with all of those parameters, you would need a massive computer. Absolutely true. We don't have this sort of massive computer. We don't have. We have massive computers, but not this sort of massive. And for the moment, those models are pretty close to the reality. Yeah, the models predict. I mean, they see what has happened for 100 years and predict the next 100 years or something. Yeah. But the bigger picture, and why this development is happening exactly, a model can't give you that. A model can at max give you a temperature, an estimated temperature at a certain spot in 10 years. Now, this is what a model can do by looking at the same temperature over the past 100 years and other temperatures on different places and trying to calculate these things together. Why this happens? Hard to tell, okay? How can a model tell you that? There's so many factors. Karim Setki says, hey Manny, is there any benefit to training strength, finger and larger pulling muscles at a heavier body weight and then stripping the weight gained largely through nutrition for sanding season? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the concept of the sniper projector, as I've talked about previously. You're training heavy, you're living heavy, essentially, and then once sending season comes or a project that you really want to send comes around the corner, you actually strip the weight off, you get really fit for a short period of time, tick that project off, and then, go on and live a normal life. Shoram says, and climate change is not 100% surely caused by humans, but this is the most probable hypothesis. There is nothing like a probable hypothesis. There is a hypothesis. And a hypothesis needs to be questioned by default. Okay, this is how science always operated. You can make a hypothesis. The hypothesis is humans cause it. But what you need to do then is trying to attack this hypothesis from all different angles with every little weapon that you can and bring it to fall. Yeah, actually bring it to fall. Try to make it fail. This is not what's occurring at all. This is just simply taken for the truth nowadays. Yeah, that's at least what I see. And there are, as I said, there are enough scientific counter-arguments to this. They are just not getting any attention. Thanks for the answers. Thanks for the stream, says Paul B. Shorham says, do you think the climate change is invented by air conditioner lobby? No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, here's coming someone with an actual number. Support for the climate change consensus ranges from 91 to 97% of scientists, depending on which study you look at. Interesting, yeah, interesting. Could be. But again, how many people are afraid to tell what they really think, yeah, in these days nowadays? You can get stripped your funding away super quickly if you're a little bit of an uncomfortable professor at a university or stuff like that. Yeah. So unfortunately, with the advent of money into science, we have here yet another problem, yet another a thing that falsifies a lot of stuff, yeah, inside of the scientific community. This is unfortunate, but of course, I'm very well aware that without money, it wouldn't run, essentially, so we need it. But what can I say? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty, when I talk about these stuff so openly as I do here on these streams, I am super aware of the fact that I'm hitting a super strong counter to that out there as well. Because it's just simply the generally accepted opinion. Look, there is climate change, the earth is getting warmer, and humans cause it. Yeah, this is the generally, if you're a good, proper human being, then this is what you believe, yeah, nowadays. Just like you believe, for example, if you're a good, proper human being, that the earth is round, the earth spins around itself, and it spins around the sun, and the moon spins around the earth and everything. Yeah. Although 99.9% of the people have never checked for themselves that the earth really is round. Okay. They haven't. They just believing a story that they get told from someone else. I can fully confidentially say that the earth is round because I saw it with my own eyes down in Greece when I did my own experiments, yeah, at the coast of Greece. So this is something that I recommend everybody to do. Listen to your senses, try if you can, make your own experiments, make reproducible experiments, and find out for yourself. Yeah, this is I feel that for many topics this is a very reasonable approach and very, it's much more doable than just believing what someone else tells you. But again, we're getting super much. We can we could discuss about this stuff until the sun comes up here in Austria, which is in about like, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours. So I would say we're already going for 2.5 hours, man. I'm already getting pretty tired as well here. Must say. Yeah, unfortunately nowadays a lot of studies and papers are hidden behind paywalls like those from Elsevier. And most of us has to rely on information from media and Wikipedia. You can use Science Hub for cracking open studies. I think that's the name, right? Sci-Hub, I think is the name. It's always somewhere else because obviously they want to crack down on this website because Sci-Hub, because it makes studies available to the open public, and they don't want that because they want to earn something with their scientific papers, which is understandable. They have to put effort and time into that, and it is their work, it is their property in a sense. However, the people from Sci-Hub think that scientific findings should be available to everybody out there, and I very much agree with them. So, use Sci-Hub to crack open studies if you need to. Oh, sorry, Manny. Time to ask my questions, but yeah, great. Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in. Although you're late. You cannot limit to only things that you can independently verify. Do you expect to be able to reproduce all of science? No. But a lot of very basic stuff is actually reproducible. Yeah. This is another very important hallmark, actually, of good science, that it is very reproducible, even by people who do not have super sophisticated gear and stuff like that. Yeah. Good science is reproducible in your home. With a simple microscope, with a couple of very simple chemicals. Yeah, all these stuffs matter. You can reproduce science at your home very well. But of course, you cannot get enlightened like that, like you could get in a laboratory or stuff. But a laboratory is also very abstract. Yeah, it isolates one thing, takes it out of context, looks at it in very much detail, but it cannot really get the really big picture that way. Does that make sense? And I feel like this is how a lot of times it is done nowadays. Yeah? All right, guys. I think we have to end the stream nowadays. It was super interesting again. I must say the questions were amazing. We had a lot of climbing related stuff. We went off the rails again into all of the conspiracy, beautiful climate change, pandemic, wonderful stuff, new world order, left, right, and center. Amazing. What could you ask for more for a proper live stream? I would say the live stream receptacle has been empty for over half an hour, which is a catastrophic circumstance that needs to be ended now, my friends. I gotta tell you. And after that, I'm gonna go to sleep, quite frankly, because I need to recover from this heavy conversation that I had to do with you guys. No, actually, I'm enjoying it quite a lot, as you can obviously see. Otherwise, I wouldn't turn up. Thanks for turning up to you guys out there. Without you, this wouldn't even be possible. Thanks for your questions. Again, it's always fun to answer them, or at least try my best to answer them, to give my as honest as possible opinion on what you think. Yeah, this is what it's all about. That's what I like. This is the kind of discussions that I would like to lead. Yeah. Anyway, leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Helps the stream, you know the deal. And I'll see you very soon in the next one. I think I'm gonna schedule another stream for next Sunday. How are you about that? Huh? Would you like to do another stream next Sunday? It's gonna be a tense week again this week, unfortunately. So I'm still quite hesitant to do it. Yeah. Don't take anything for granted until the announcement is out. When the announcement is out, though, you can pretty much, be sure that the stream is going to come, because I'm not going to allow myself another mistake like I did last week, turning up late to the stream. How can that be? This is not acceptable. My friends, have a good night, I would say. Stay strong, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye.